Hey, Christy Mattoon here with Mind Rewire. Good morning, good morning. I've got my trusty cup of coffee and sitting here just doing some work, and I was typing out actually a playbook for my new app that I'm creating. And it'll go hand in hand. So the people who are jumping into this course ahead of time, it's going to be a 6-week challenge here to start with on January 1st. And it's going to be like a sprint to get you from point A to point B so that you can finally start 2020 off, start a year off in a right frame, right? A right emotional frame, a right state of mind to get you to where you want to go throughout this year. And one of the things I was sitting here typing about is, and I say this all the time, that every word out of your mouth should be in the form of prayer and every thought should be in the form of a meditation. And when you hold yourself in that state, it just naturally raises your vibration because you're not in judgment, you're not in doubt, you're not in conflict, you're not in, right? It literally raises you above that stuff. And it just makes life easier because you're not living in those things, right? And so one of the things I was typing in here in this little section is about how much time you should spend daily doing this kind of work. Because in meditation and prayer, they tell you to go sit down somewhere and prepare yourself for your meditation. And then you have to do the work to get into the meditation deep enough to take you wherever to do whatever you're trying to do, right? Same thing with prayer. You start praying and then you get into it and people get really wound up and emotional and get into these amazing states of emotion. And it creates really cool change. It really does. But if you do that consistently, frequently, fervently, which is actually a scripture, the frequent fervent prayers of a righteous man avails much. If you do that frequently and fervently, it's on a consistent basis. And when you do it that way, how much time you spend becomes a non-issue. You're not sitting down to meditate for 2 hours because you're consistently in a state of meditation and gratitude, which is kind of the goal, right? If you're not in that state, you're not in the ultimate state that you want to be in, I don't think. Anger never gets us anywhere. Sadness, right? And we think we have to dive face first into these negative emotional states to get through them, that the contrast is really going to take you into a new place. And it does. My question is always the same thing. Is it that necessary? If you know the contrast and you understand that there's light and dark, there's yin and yang, there's good and bad, there's, right, all of these things, you understand the contrast, do you have to keep diving into it to get beyond it? It's an interesting question. And so what I'm saying on here is how much time should you spend daily? It should be consistent. It should be very fervent. It should be fully felt and fully aware. And the other question on here is, do you need to do it every day? It's part of the consistency. The more consistent you are, and this is a question in the world of like law of attraction, you hear often different ideas and back and forth about manifesting. Do you do it once? Do you manifest the thing and do the work that you're doing one time, send it out, and let it go? Don't come back to it. Just wait until the universe puts it together for you. Or do you continue in it? Do you keep doing it? And I heard somebody say this once, that it's like you're pestering God. Don't do that. He heard you. You said it once, he heard you, let it go. And I disagree with that. I totally disagree with that, because it says the frequent fervent prayers of a righteous man avails much. Well, if it needs to be frequent and fervent, I would say if you sat down, and this is actually a quantum principle, collapsing the wave, and that double split experiment, if you understand that idea, it's every time you send the message out, you're actually bending the reality more towards what you're wanting. Because there's a percentage of probability that you're going to hit the mark on exactly what it is you're asking for. It's like rolling a dice. How many times do you roll a couple of dice and end up with the exact same numbers, right? There's a probability to that. There is to everything. And if you keep collapsing the wave in your favor because of your emotions and your thought, You're not only collapsing time and space, you're bending the reality that it's going to come to you exactly the way you're asking for it. Yeah, this is what we're doing in our 6-week course. This is part of what we're doing. We're clearing the field so that you can get to a place where you can do that, what I just said. So, I hope that answered my own question. I was actually trying to think through this while I was typing it, so I will go back and listen to my own video. That's what I'm going to do. I bless you in this. I hope it makes sense. I hope it helps. And if you want to get into this course, there is still time. We don't start till January 1st. And what we're doing is using heart coherent states, understanding heart coherence, and learning how to get into the state, to stay in the state, to turn your every word into a prayer and every thought into a meditation. So you're consistently manifesting the life that you want. It is how the system works. And when you use it functionally and you're aware of how you're using it, it is amazing what the system will do for you. And the system being this whole universal plane that was created for us. Hope that helps. God bless. I will talk to you again soon.